With most of these devices, hang on to your questions. When you guys get your assigned device, you're going to have questions. I can almost guarantee it. So hang on to them. Otherwise, we're going to be on this street corner until 2 a.m. and Nicole is going to fall asleep. So we don't want her taking a nap on us. So first thing we're going to use is thermal imaging. Why would I want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? See how you can't, this is what we normally wouldn't see. All right, guys, this is interactive. Why would we want this?
Because you can't see it, but it's there.
How so?
It's got some sort of heat or radiation.
Not heat, but cold, not energy. Energy's too generic. We never use energy on an actual investigation. Cold spots. So just think of cold spots, guys. So literally, we're going against that old adage that ghosts create cold spots. It's the hair standing up on the back of your neck, on your arms, that kind of thing. This way we can actually prove it. This is a FLIR camera. What does that mean for you? This is what like firemen actually use to help save people. This is the real deal. This is not some phone app. Just so you, and can everybody see me in there, the red, orange, and yellow guy? Sorry, fellas, but that means I'm the hottest thing inside the video. So yeah, that works great on a bridal party. Maybe not this group so much. Anyway, the thing we're really looking for in this camera, guys, are the blue and black spots to start taking shape or start moving on their own. Blue and black are our coldest areas in the frame. There's a little blue dot bouncing around the frame that's going to help you watch your video. It's going to give you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So when you're watching it, you're going to see that blue dot with a temperature next to it. I usually look for a 15+ degree drop in temperature of the ambient temperature. Am I boring already? Yes, I know. Science is weird. So it's okay. We're going to get you through it. So Andrew, we're going to actually go with you on this one. Okay. So you're going to hold that horizontal all night long, just so you can see the screen. Nope, flip it back to you.
Okay,
there you go. So I'm going to do a few starts and stops with that video just because the hardware is great, but the software sucks. If we record for too long, we're going to lose a little bit of footage. So we don't want to do that. So we want to keep it running. Nope, keep it running. We want to keep everything going. So there's basically 2 ways of actually getting all of the intro to the devices. So next camera, let's get this guy out. And yes, I am super stoked about this camera. I actually just upgraded the lighting on it. So this one, I cannot wait to see how it's going to portray in your video tomorrow morning. And it's made it a lot more inconspicuous of what it actually is. Yeah. So, first things first, you guys should not be able to see me in this little tiny GoPro camera. So I know it's pretty small, it's a GoPro, but I like to just show off that it's mainly black at this point. Yeah. But we're going to turn on some lights. Huh. We are now working with 24 infrared lights that are shining to make your entire screen purple. This is light that you cannot see with your own eyes. The camera can see. This is great for picking up orbs and any other kind of motion that we would not normally be able to see with our own eyes. To help us out with that, we are going to be using lasers with this guy as well. So lasers addition to this is a perfect combo. The other light that I had on there, just so you guys know what the upgrade was, it was like this tall and it was like big bulbs on it. So this more compact version, as you guys can see the little red LEDs up there, like way more compact and way more easier to kind of conceal a little bit. So UK Brian, we're actually going to go with you first. Yeah. Give me 1 sec. I want to get it started. Well, the camera, it's not the camera that's brand new. The camera's been on the floor for a couple of weeks. And it's pretty sure UK Brian. So weird.
When you're near, they always say like when you would ghost or something, when you're near a ghost, you get colder.
Yeah, you always say like, oh, I just gotta chill.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so this is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything by the time we're done.
The blue pill.
So obviously you can see the green circle on the ground, but you cannot see the lasers until something actually passes through it. The hope here is that UK Brian's camera is going to be able to capture some motion going through it. So in the event that we actually capture it, I'll take the still from that video and actually give it to you as kind of like a JPEG screenshot. But we're going to be using 2 different kinds of lasers with this guy. We're going to be using red squares at top of the green circles. The red squares, if we capture something here, I can put it in 3D software, and then I can give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with the measurements of it.
Holy crap.
So, yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Has
the software been able to take any of my anomalies yet? No. I'm hoping that the 2 Bryans tonight are going to really help us out and get us something. So, lasers go to adults only. So, the reason why is there's a laser law in Charleston. You keep them on the ground, and when you're using them on the ground, you want to make sure that the edge of them are touching your toes. Keep them in control at all times.
Brian's not going to get it?
Brian is going to get both of them.
Nobody got my joke.
Ghostbuster joke, but it works here. So, yeah, I know. I told you this shit was funny. You gotta have a good time. So you always want to kind of use them side by side. We're going to talk more about that at the next time. Those lights actually light up like a Christmas tree through that infrared camera. It is beautiful to watch, actually. So let's talk about spirit boxes, because we're going to be using 6 different spirit boxes tonight. So spirit boxes, your face just lit up like a Christmas tree itself. So, spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate with the dead. So this guy, if you guys are fans of the TV shows and YouTube videos, this is where they play the white noise, and then they actually kind of show you in the middle of the screen of what they think they heard, trying to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing that in real time, but with a different method. The reason why is because none of you are trained to listen to just white noise for 2 hours, and the history I'm going to give you, Kristen's going to fall asleep, just so you guys know.
No.
So Kristen and Nicole are going to be taking naps together if I actually leave it on just white noise. So with that said, this guy is going to be slowed down. Slowed down is going to allow the radio chatter to actually come through. So the song lyrics, the DJs, the commercials. If we can make out anything that's coming out of those song lyrics, DJs, and commercials, then it's a 50-50 shot that I can tie it to our location, a person in history we're discussing, or even something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. The cool thing about this one specifically is it's going to record the entire session for you. Bless you. Kristen, you're going to be the only one to actually hear this in real time because you're going to have an earbud in. So, you're going to get the recording back tomorrow morning. I'll be writing down what she hears in real time because, again, this is not an easy task. But I'm going to spot check it tomorrow morning and give you about 15 to 20 more markers of things that I find, whether they're relevant or not. The reason I do that is so that way you guys can all kind of get trained on how to listen to the regular audio of this. So I don't want earbuds back because your earwax is your own souvenir. Congratulations, you win. So undo the twist tie here, and your volume button here is right here. So it's the wheel, so you just have to control it, and you can actually up and down with that volume while you want to. It's not going to mess up the recording. I don't know how it does it, but that's why we have it.
I mean, you can see like little cold spots. See those?
Is that what that is? Are they white?
Yeah, anything like really light.
That's a cold spot on the camera.
So Leah was it? You're getting the next one. However, yours is not going to record. So I'm going to rely on you and what you hear in real time of what you're actually getting. So again, same thing with earbuds. Your volume button is the wheel right here. So it's making sure it's all the way down. So just kind of feel for that wheel and get used to the volume on that and get comfortable. Most people operate these with just one earbud, just so you guys know. The next spirit box. This one we don't actually have to listen to, which makes it so unique. I love this guy. So this is going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. So the reason why we use this guy is because it's going to save all of those terms to the list. The last tour that I had well, I want to say I left it running for a little while longer. There's over 100 terms for sure. However, this is a phone app. The reason why I love to use it is because it has 36,000 terms and phrases in its dictionary. It's a great possibility that 20% of what we're going to see tonight is going to be relevant the same way the other spirit boxes are working. The location, a person, one of us. So, again, most of this is going to be garbage. About 80% of it's going to be garbage because it is a phone app. It's actually meant to try to scare us. So, with that said, I'm losing names on you too. Which one's Cameron? Cameron, this one's going to go to you. Only because I remember names. How about that? Perfect. So, I don't want to see every word that pops up. I'll come to you when I want to see the list. Otherwise, we're going to be out here forever.
Do you hear anything?
Why? We don't have my earbuds in.
Oh,
Not yet. She's going to listen to him
it's
first.
going to be harder.
Yeah.
Down here, but
All right, the next spirit box. This guy works completely different than all of the others because it is actually going to sweep through the AM and the FM radio stations at the same time and try to drown out the white noise that's coming through Kristen and Leah's spirit boxes. So it will only give us about 10 to 12 terms in a 2-hour time frame. It's a matter of when those 10 to 12 terms actually come out, 75% of them will be accurate, just so you guys know. I love the spirit box. This is also relatively new to the tour, but again, 75% accuracy. I'm going to get 8 to 9 terms out of this that are going to be super relevant for a location. Oh, this one's going to go to you.
Is that recorded?
No, it does not record. The reason why I'm giving this one to you specifically is because husband back there actually has a recording device, so if you stick with him, this will actually pick up the audio. So in case you miss something, the audio will also be on the camera.
Okay.
So that way you two kind of have to work together. The other thing you need to worry about is which way to hold it up. The blinking lights are the top. On the right-hand side, there's a mute button. Right now it's muted, so that way I can get through the rest of these devices. But obviously you just click it once to unmute it, and then it'll start spitting out whatever sounds it's going to give us. So again, I muted it once again, so that way nothing's going to come out. the old school spear box. So this guy, because it's so hard to hear through a set of earbuds, I attached a ball speaker to it. So the cool thing about this one is that you can actually listen to it. I'm sorry, I'm losing your name now. Isabel. So Isabella, you're gonna have this one, but what's so cool is that camera can actually help you out with this because she's watching for words and you can listen for words, and that way you guys can actually help each other out. So the only thing you have to worry about is where the volume is.
I keep hearing voices in mine.
And then turn it down, obviously.
Like what?
It's like, I can't really make out what they're saying, but it's like bits and pieces of people talking.
All of a sudden, you hear like SWAT come out of the box or something like that.
Yeah, I just heard somebody's music.
Then I'll know. You know how
Did
I'll
you
know
really?
it.
Yeah.
All right, so EMF detectors. These are pretty much a must when we're actually out here in the field. So this guy is going to help us debunk a lot of things that are going on outside around us. So with that said, Evan, obviously this one's going to go to you. So this guy is going to help. It's going to pick up any kind of electromagnetic fields from any kind of wiring, buildings, cell phones, anything of the like. I will look for patterns in this. So Evan, all you have to do is let me know what color you see. I usually have an eye on it at all times anyway. So again, you kind of have to let me know what's going on with it. You're going to be doing twofold. So you're also going to be taking plenty of pictures for us throughout the night.
Right.
So have you ever used a .2 camera before?
Yes.
Okay. I normally have to ask them if they even know what it is.
Yeah.
So
This is a camera.
2 buttons on here that you need to worry about. Obviously the big one is to shoot. The one to the left of it is the power button. So when it shuts off from no activity, you have to turn it back on again. Obviously there's a bunch of numbers and that kind of thing on the screen, so if it's just completely blank, you know it's shut off.
Yeah.
So again, you are working twofold tonight, so both of those go to you, sir.
Put that around your
So you
wrist.
know,
Last but
you
not
too.
least. Laura, you're my multitasker. Oh my god.
That's okay.
That's when
Anything I
it
can tune into it.
it goes on.
So Kristen, you're my multitasker. So everybody else is completely loaded up, right? Yes. All right.
How'd you know she's a multitasker? Well,
I have a sense for these things. So this also has an EMF
Same one
detector
from
built
the game
into
I
it, but it's
put it
digital, so it's a little bit more accurate than the
No.
one that Evan is using. In the event that he gets some colors on his, I want to know what's going on with yours. So just let me know any numbers you find above 2.5 on the big numbers. The other thing that this has, and you're kind of the fact checker for everybody, is it has ambient thermometer at the bottom. So it's using the yellow probe up here to measure the air around it. So in the event we actually find a cold spot with Andrew's camera, you and I can debunk it or prove it pretty quickly. The last thing that it has is what we call a REM pod. A REM pod is a motion sensor. So basically if something gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. The closer we get to it, it's going to go off, obviously. There's an array of colors in there. Notice I have it pointed down. I'm going to show you more about that at our second stop, just because there's so much more going on with this particular style of device. So again, you'll be my last person that I show more things about. So for now, just focus on those red numbers. And again, obviously you'll let me know what's going on with that. Is everybody geared up? All right, Brian and Brian are in charge. Let me know what happens. Go have fun. No, I'm kidding. Don't go anywhere. Nicole's like, really? You're going to let us go? No, you're not going anywhere.
It's taking me to Big John's Tavern.
Looks like there's some paranormal activity.
Well, that brings me to my point of why we started here. So let's take a drink because you all are going to make me talk all night, but I'm pretty sure it's my job to talk all night.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Big John's Tavern. There's a reason why I had you all meet me here. Thank you for lightening up my bag, by the way. You have about 60 pounds in your hands right now, which makes my night a whole lot easier. So, Big John, this place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Whenever I'm telling you the history of a building, I will always do my best to slow down. Go ahead and mute your steer button. That's the button on the right. That's the button right at the top. The only button on there. Yep. You got it. So, I will always do my best to slow down on specific keywords. All of my spirit boxes are in play tonight. So, I do that for the spirit boxes. I talk fast, which is part of the reason why we record everything, so that way you can go back and spot check stuff. So, but Big John Kennedy, his bar, he played for the 1947 New York Giants. He used to sit in the back of this bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in from the Citadel, they're not old enough to drink. He has the bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. Big John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer, and he goes over and just starts pounding on these guys, just beating the heck out of them, right into the floor. A gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck, but the bullet lands behind him in the wall. After being shot, John's the only one that's been shot, by the way. He gets up, goes back to the bar, tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor an ambulance. So, ironic thing of this whole story is that I tell you that the building is haunted, you all think of some tragic death that may have occurred here. Here's what's actually haunting the place. It's the bullet hole. Even if it's not still here from the new renovation of the Big John's that we're now looking at, and they filled it in, Big John's blood is still in this building. So people that sit in the front of this building tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with paranormal activity tonight, which is exactly why everybody's here. I don't know how it's going to affect any of you. If anybody feels any of those slight symptoms of headache, nausea, or dizziness, I need to know immediately so that way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Yeah.
That's the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long. There's kids on it. So, yeah, it is. Let's get our minds off our own health, right? So, have you guys taken any other tours in Charleston at all?
No.
No?
We did the horse carriage.
So you've heard about the earthquake we had in 1886, because every tour in town talks about it. Big John's, the building itself, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. So I say allegedly because I don't really have proof of this story, but it's a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, a piece of the mantle broke off, the white piece that you guys see in the middle of the building, in the front of it, hit somebody in the back of the head and killed them, and they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Again, I have no proof of any of this. Is everybody ready to go get some?
Yeah.
Alright. Got 30 minutes time to do the podcast?
No.
You got pause on that one, I'm not sure. Alright.
Can I unmute it now? Can I mute it?
Nicole, get out of the street, he said.
Can I unmute it?
Get out of the street. I don't know. I about just ran into that pole. He'll tell you how to turn it on.
Much quieter space. I don't feel like I'm screaming at you anymore.
Oh, this is better.
It's like this the rest of the evening. So, this space is where I actually kind of stop us for a few minutes just so I can explain your devices a little bit more and kind of give you a great example of how to use all of your devices. So this should answer most of your questions throughout the night. This is the big red barn lot. This is where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. Notice my voice drops because they can't hear us. So whoever has the lasers, Brian, please no lasers on that building. You will spook the horses. They'll kick the metal wall and scare the bejesus out of all of us. So they don't like that's also why we use earbuds with most of the spirit boxes, because they don't like the white noise either. So the history here is really simple, and I did it that way so we can talk about your devices. This is the same red barn that had horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So again, keywords here would be delivery, milk, eggs, residents, anything relative to the stable. So let's talk about spirit boxes. There's all of them in play tonight, which is kind of nice actually. So spirit boxes, everybody wants to ask the same question whenever they get a communicative device. What do you think that question is?
Are there any spirits here?
What's that?
Are there any spirits?
Is anybody here?
Yeah.
Right? So if somebody answers no to Nicole's spirit box, that means somebody's here. So we're not going to be asking yes and no questions at all tonight. There's always a way to reword the question. Even if you're a skeptic, those questions you're going to find in paranormal proof of non-yes and no questions. So if somebody answers yes and no, they're too easy. We don't want easy. We want the specifics and the details. Normally spirit boxes, I would tell them in a new location of a new device that they never touched before. Wow, that is sensitive.
So now I'm at
3.7. See, I got to write that one down. All right, so let me
Hear
get
that? Quick.
Oh yeah. And actually, I have it set on slow. That's why I leave the temperature on there. So if that wasn't on there, it would be like 37, 36, 37, 36. Like it'd be super, super fast. But make sure this is tight in there before I hand this back to him. Andrew, I got you back up and running, buddy. I'm a genius. I try. All right, you're back up.
Okay.
Nice, man.
Thank you.
All right, so basically the antenna is going to create a beam actually around it. It's not going to be measured here. So we're going to turn that beam up to the on. Turn around slowly. This is going to go off with your motion.
Is blue the cold?
Yeah, blue.
What is that? I mean, it definitely does pick up. What? I mean, you should see you in this. This is crazy.
Can I turn it around and see you?
Don't touch that.
Looks like you're a ghost. I'm trying to see if there's anything around you.
Yeah, watch that car.
There's nothing. There's no white spots around.
You got it, brother. Am I looking for white spots?
I need to know more to record.
Tough
Is there an
to.
area we should focus on? Not necessarily. I would normally say look at the EMF readers. So like anything that Kristen has, like she has an EMF reader. Anything has. Did we get anything else? Yours doesn't really go off of your movement unless it's erratic. So unless you're like shaking it around, if you have a little bit of a lift, just so you know, see how my phone's gonna make it go off. That's really what you're looking for.
So it's really high.
Yeah, well,
Higher
not
the better.
necessarily. It doesn't have to be high.
Yeah.
But again, any kind of motion on yours, it's not a rhythm. So if it looks like it's just awesome.
Yeah, when I feel the burn.
Wait for the part of me, and then I'll just take pictures of our group. So you can take pictures of all of our people that are working, see if anyone's actually going by. But when the lasers are out, you want to try to like shoot pictures through those lasers at the same time.
Do you hear that, Evan? Shoot pictures through it.
Yep.
And Nick, what color am I looking for specifically?
Blues and blacks.
Blues and blacks.
So again, all the red, orange, and yellows are going to be your warmer areas. So when I'm looking at these,
It's like, yeah, keep talking. I'm sorry.
so go ahead and point it directly at the ground again. Like let's just try to get just the ground in view.
Yeah.
So when I put my hand in here,
Yep.
it's going to make the color turn blue because it's going to be colder than my hand.
That's why I keep.
Yeah.
You want me to keep somebody in frame.
Right, always.
Okay.
And again, this space is really hard to keep the sky out of view. So when I'm watching for this, I don't normally like look for the blue dot when I'm like scanning this area.
I got you.
It's all about what kind of anomalies we're going to be able to find. Now, does this capture something every night? No. I'm lucky to get 8 to 9 of those per year, where I can actually count it as actual evidence.
I got you.
I've already got 3 or 4 this year though,
Oh, wow.
which is like holy cow moments. So again, and a lot of times your device isn't always a real-time moment either. It's a lot about the media review because I send that to YouTube, so that way you guys can watch it however you want to.
Okay.
So it's going to be a lot of fun when you guys get that data back.
That's awesome.
All right.
I saw you yawning over here.
Huh?
I said I saw you yawning.
Did you catch it?
Yeah. I mean, you can't really see it. I mean, you see
Wow.
like.
How'd you see it?
Oh no, I was
Oh.
I was looking at you.
I quite literally had just yawned.
Yeah.
It's not weird.
We went to a concert last night, and then flew in this morning, and so we're just like
Where'd you fly in from?
New York.
I'm from Philly.
Oh, we love Philly.
Yeah. I just flew in this afternoon.
Yeah, that's us
Concert
too.
you go to?
I'm Randall Lambert, Little Big Town.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So yeah, it's a country show, which in
Right.
New York isn't real.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, you
people are
must-
like, country what?
Yeah.
So,
Where in New York?
do you know Long Island at all?
Yeah, I grew up
so,
there.
Oh, where at?
Dix Hills.
Oh wow, that's beautiful there.
Yeah.
We were at Jones Beach.
Oh, cool. Sure.
Yeah.
My brother's in Massapequa Park.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Nicole grew up in the Hewlett School District. I don't know, Valley Stream,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Five
yeah.
Towns area.
I had family in Valley Stream.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's funny.
small world.
Yeah.
Small world.
Right here. Oh,
My God, you there?
with Nick. Nick.
Where'd he go? Elijah.
When did you get it?
I got 2, 3. Right here.
How high did it go?
3. My friend.
Wow.
Hey, Nick.
There we go. You got about a 15, so that's good. So you should be hanging out here and see if anything else comes up through your spirit box. All right.
Tomorrow I'm going to look at this footage and go, wait a minute, what the hell am I looking at?
The parking lot.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly.
Right here. I'll go right here.
Oh, wow, you're really lighting up. Hey, Evan, give me your camera once. Give me your. Are you taking shots?
I'm doing shots, yeah.
Okay.
Nothing.
Just asked her how old she was when she got married, and I heard her 23 in song lyrics.
Looks like something.
Let's ask.
And then I heard like a teacher ad. It's like over a bunch of experienced teachers. I was like,
All right. Anything
Hey.
else coming out of yours?
yes.
How old was she when she got married?
You tell me.
I heard a 23 in like song lyrics. I don't think that's.
So she was 22. And what I will tell you is that they were 23 years apart.
Oh.
Wow.
I also heard a teacher ad.
What did it say?
It's like a bunch of experienced teachers.
No, he's picking up radio, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Oh.
But experienced teachers actually has a little bit of meaning here. So I'm going to wait to see if something else pops up with that, with somebody else's spirit box. I'm going to write it down for now and not tell you why. But that 23 is definitely relevant. So somebody else may have asked what was the age gap in between them, and you got the number. Does that make sense now?
Holy crap.
Yes, Andrew, this is what I do every night. Every single night.
This is the best ghost tour I've been on already.
Nicole, you got anything yet? I know in Brian's, this is not an always in the moment thing. I know we might actually have something going through. You mentioned this for yours.
Hey, Leah got something again.
What did you get? What?
So she heard it. She asked how old were you got married, and she heard it 23, and 23 is relevant.
Oh wow! I thought it was 420 something 4.
Ask Leah, what are you asking questions?
Yeah, you already capped out. That was 25.
Yeah.
Keep getting the same spot over here.
Goes
It's like right here.
hot-blooded. Check it and see.
I don't know if that's something. I doubt. Right there.
That's pretty cool, Evan. What'd you hear?
Someone ordering pizza.
What'd you hear?
It's legit.
Something about a contract, and it's over now that she's dead. $40,000.
I don't know if that's right.
That's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
cool. That's how you feel.
Well, she said I'm
Cameron.
gonna contract
Contract 40.
$40,000.
Okay.
Very clear. Very much so.
Come on, guys. She's going a little haywire over there.
Videos, you can actually stop recording at this point, kind of relax a little bit. So for you, it's the circle. The button for you, it's going to be all the way to your right.
Am I here?
Yep. So go ahead and tap it.
What was that? That was something. Yeah. Doesn't have a volume?
And then the other is the 7. Go ahead and keep that volume down as well. We're in a quiet area, so we're next to a hotel. So again, if we hear anything along the way before I explain where we are.
I heard the word Bible.
Bible, not surprised. Okay. I already wrote down that you two heard first class.
I didn't really hear any names, but I heard will not encounter.
Will not counter.
Will not encounter.
Will not encounter.
The number 9, and then New York.
Where did you hear New York?
It was like, I think it was like right when we started walking.
So way back by Big John's, who played for the New York Giants.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was the other thing you heard, right?
Oh, I heard Cloud 9.
Cloud 9.
That was right when we were leaving that parking
I
lot.
heard the number 1.
And there's first again. So we heard that's still relatively close to the Pinckney Mansion site where the first president was the pallbearer. So again, very loose. I'll be looking for the word president or George or obviously the term Washington to go along with the number 1 and first that we heard. Very good clues, but very vague. So kind of keep that in mind. So with the cameras, we're going to play a new little trick. Keep yours kind of pointed in one direction, either one way down or the other. But with yours, I want you to pick one laser for me and shine it at this wall. And keep it there. Keep it as steady as you possibly can. And then Brian, the other Brian, if you want to move your camera, I want you to kind of film the laser coming through this way. We capture a lot of orbs here, and I've never tested the lasers in this fashion before. So again, with this going on, I'm hoping something's going to actually pass through and have somebody witness what's actually going on. So for an example, I don't think I've done this trick in a while. It's pardon my bait, but it's a great example of actually how to see the lasers. See how things are going to show up right here? Again, sorry about the bit. But again, that's basically what we're looking for, but it's not going to be that slow. It's going to be very quick. So everybody can kind of watch that, and hopefully we can capture it on film. So where are we? We're inside Lodge Alley. When we crossed the last crosswalk coming down, that was where the original Charlestown walls used to be. Charleston used to be called Charlestown, a walled city. It was one of 3 fortified cities in the Americas. So we are standing on one of the first streets that Charleston actually had. This used to be called Lodge Alley. It had many other names before that, but we're going to focus on Lodge Alley. The reason why I asked you all for names along the way is because people used to live here. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here. It's not a lengthy list, but I get the same 2 names over and over and over again. So the 2 names are Benjamin and John. I get them every 6 to 7 weeks. Unfortunately for you, I was not actually expecting them tonight because we're in week 2 to 3 of that loop. I do keep track of it. So again, I'm not here to make things up. So Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. When I say people lived here, I'm not talking like this thing was lined with houses. I'm talking like 2 to 5 people at a time. Benjamin and John were 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. Do I have anything specific about this Benjamin or John? I don't. I keep getting the same names over and over again. Every once in a while in that loop, I will still get a third name. The name is Jane. That's a third person out of 1801. She doesn't show up as often, so that's why I'm very curious when it does show up. So here's why I think it's happening. You're standing on Belgian blocks. So who was it that said that these were total ballast from the ship? So again, that is what the tourism book tells those other tour guides to tell you guys. Here's what they actually are. They're made of granite. Granite is not supposed to have an EMF field attached to it in any way, shape, or form. So what you're getting is actually coming from the building behind you. So those of you with EMF detectors. So, Kristen and Evan, I want you to both put your devices on the ground. Pick a brick. Now that's a steady reading, so I'm going to count that as something coming straight from the earth. Are you getting any numbers at all?
3.5, holding there.
Holding at 3.5. Let me know if it spikes at any reason in the next 2 minutes or so. If not, we'll have you guys pick up your devices.
Okay.
So, the interesting thing about these bricks, again, they should go up to about a 1.1 to pick up the natural EMF field from the earth. I'm actually studying these bricks because this is what we call the stone tape theory. The stone tape theory basically states that any rock or any kind of material that's made of earth that's been in the same location for hundreds of years, like these, can hang on to the consciousness of memories and replay them over and over again on recordings on the devices that you guys are using tonight. So I keep getting those names every 6 to 7 weeks. Again, these are things I can't make up. It's the only theory that I can come up with where it actually matches exactly what's happening with these devices. I have seen with your device, Kristen, it go all the way up to 12. It was like an 11.7 on certain nights. And I've only been doing this little test for like the past 2 weeks because this is the next blog and podcast episode I'm doing is on this alley. Before people lived here, the Freemasons actually had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, including the term Illuminati. So I'm going to chuckle at that only because, first off, who the heck is saying the word Illuminati on the radio stations? Second, why am I only hearing it when we're in this space? It does not fall within the loop either. So again, it kind of shows up randomly. I heard it 6 times last year, 3 times so far this year. So again, take that for what it's worth. At times when I'm bringing up the Freemasons, the word symbols will show up on your word list. It's happened on more than one occasion. Again, this is not a space where we're going to sit around and ask questions because, again, my belief is that it's residual. We're just basically watching a movie over and over again. Now, go ahead and pick up your devices.
Maybe you happen to walk in on the movie, and
right.
maybe you don't.
And I keep getting the exact same names over and... Oh, by the way, the John, I know that that's a very common name. There were, I think, 5 or 6 different Johns that lived in this alley over a 60-year time frame. This John from 1801 will give us his last name, Johnson. So we'll get John Johnson along with Benjamin in the same week. So again, I have to look at these things as anomalous because of the occurrence and the way that they're happening. The next space we're going to go to is another alley. And yes, I linger here on purpose to hope that we're going to find something on these cameras and your recordings. But the alley that I'm about to take you to, I cannot take you all the way through it like what we're doing here. Why? I got kicked out. Yes, part of the story I will tell you tonight is how I got kicked out of that alley because it is super fun. And everybody loves to hear it.
Like from a ghost?
No, from the city of Charleston.
Got it.
So, it is a very popular area, but we're going to tell that story outside of it, and we are going to stir up enough activity because I'm going to go into the great detail of what goes on down in that alley, and you're going to need those details because you're ghost hunting. You're not on some campfire ghost trip where you're just hearing stories and moving on. You're going to need a little bit more detail. That's why I tell the story so specifically. You're going to get, hopefully, fingers crossed, activity from that location for the rest of our time together, even though we're going to go to other spaces. They're just close enough to where things can bleed over. So again, you might come up with something and I'm like, oh yeah, that's relative to the alley we just left. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So again, as we cut through the rest of this alley, let's go ahead and stop the laser. I know it's hard to hold that thing on there. Good job, by the way. As we exit the alley, I want you guys to stop your videos. So Evan, I do want you to take pictures of the alley as we exit. So you're going to pretty much be the last one out.
Right.
Yeah.
This alley?
Yeah, this one. So when we exit, you're going to turn around and take some long shots, very, very still. Just get 2 or 3 snapshots
really
for us.
still.
And then we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood, so we're still on a no laser zone. But we're going to not record any video through the neighborhood to get to the next alley. Is that fair?
Yep.
EMF readers, you're still going to get false positives from the busy streets. So we're going to talk more about those at the second stop after that. Any words come up that you guys are whispering about?
I got remain, settle himself, slain, warning, and bank.
Keep getting bank here. There's no bankers that live here. This was a poor area. Very interesting. Bank showed up here a few nights ago as well. And on another spirit box. It wasn't from that one. It was a different one. All right, let's do this. Let's see if we can go capture at the next one.
It's the last name.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like. Maybe banks. One of you have heels on.
Yeah. We had dinner right before this and we didn't have time
Right.
to change.
I got you. Leah, what number did you hear?
15.
Okay.
And I just heard an HIV test.
So with yours, Brian, down there, again, you can kind of hold it underneath that top light. It'll be a little bit more comfortable, just like that. Perfect. So the reason I'm having you do that is because this is a very popular tour spot. The people going through it, you'll see the large groups of 20 did not pay to get filmed. You guys did. So again, we're going to be very inconspicuous about it and not look like YouTubers. So great job, everybody. Appreciate that. So we all talk. This is Philadelphia Alley behind me. We all tell the story of what actually occurred here because this place used to be called a Dueler's Alley. Those readings, Evan, just so you know, are coming from the building. Yeah. So, figure as much. He's a smart kid. All right, so this is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So we all tell the story of one specific duel because we can actually prove that it happened. And there's obviously a lot of data that I can provide along with it. Again, I'm telling the story a lot differently than you would hear in another ghost tour because it's very detailed. So let's get into it. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves here because his fiancee, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this money. The attorney thinks the doctor is just after Amanda's cash. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her cash flow. Bless you. He comes to Charleston and the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston, but somebody walking by sees what's going on because he knows the coachman and he knows what he's about to do. So he tells the doctor, well, let me stop there. This guy's name is Ralph Isaacs. And Ralph's, his initials are the same as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. R.I. will show up here all the time. He showed up here again last night and we had the word prescription kind of nearby, so I'm definitely taking that as it was relative to the doctor from Rhode Island. So again, we're ghost hunting. Initials mean things. So Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to take all your money. You got some friends at 59 Church Street where you can rent a room and you'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes Ralph up on this offer and the two become friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more his practice starts to take off. So he's making lots of money, proving his point, and Amanda's moving down soon. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you will ever visit in the future will have a cliched whistling ghost. I can almost guarantee it, but I actually have proof. So let's finish off the story so you know why he's called the Whistling Doctor. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's just the way the hierarchy works back here in Charleston. They talk about these plays on the way home. They go see William III one night from Shakespeare, and they start arguing over the new actress. The doctor thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. It gets really heated and ugly when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees this ad and he rebuttals with, let's go to Dueler's Alley, we're going to actually settle this. So, they come down, take their 10 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He did not want to kill his friend, he just wanted to show up, have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. Ralph has his one shot, by the way. Sorry, Evan, you're just in front of me. He shoots the doctor in the kneecap, and the doctor doesn't die either, but Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed off. The doctor drops, but his friends pick him up and carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out this bullet himself. So the campfire ghost story part of this is as you walk through the alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. If you're going to try this on your own without me as a guide to do this, use your voice recorders on your phones. I want everybody to keep in mind that every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night when I'm done with you guys because my garage is right there and we end right there. So I pass the alley every single night when I'm done with you guys. So with that, when my daughter's on the tour, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. And I do it because I've been booted out. So let's kind of get into that story. That's the fun part. That's what Brian's waiting on. How the hell did this little guy get in trouble? So this alley didn't always come all the way through. It was actually blocked off, which means the bricks on the other side are older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child and fingerprint swipes at the end of this alley. I would always show off that because of course you guys get that I'm all about the history of Charleston, just to show how far we've come. I treat that brick the same way I do a grave, the one with the handprint in it. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife, would you? I don't think you would. But everybody wants to put a spirit box or an EMF meter or something near it. Well, November 26th of 2020, my entire group decided to huddle around that one brick, and it is outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. I was not supposed to be there. So he come out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving of that year, November 27th, so I did not have a tour. I worked in retail management for over 20 years. I finally took a Thanksgiving off. I'm sure y'all can appreciate that. November 28th, I get a phone call from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway or reroute my tour. It was kind of like a slap on the wrist because I'm the new guy on the block. So I decided I'm going to reroute my group, even though I didn't believe in the story that I'm about to tell you guys later on. So before we move on, I told my team we're going to wing it because I don't know much about this story, but I'm not a true believer in it. Before we leave, somebody hears the name Ann on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating female pirate Ann Bonny. So I'm like, all right, there might be a little bit of legitimacy, maybe coincidental. We'll see what happens. Once we get there and I told what I knew, somebody else hears the number 300 on a spirit box. I didn't know what it meant at the time. So the next morning when I'm going through the data and I'm researching, Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there for the first time on November 28th of 2020, the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. I take you guys there every single night, and it is a hit or miss. We either get a ton of evidence coming out of that space, or we get nothing. We're rolling the dice on it, just like we would with any other space, but that one in particular is all about that particular pirate, and you're going to see why once we get there. What's going to happen from here is we're going to go up and around the corner and go up to St. Philip's Church and Cemetery. Hopefully we stirred up enough activity out of the doctor that some of you are going to hear clues as we're even investigating the next two spaces. So, have we heard anything since we've been standing here? Has anybody had their spirit boxes on? I seen your earbud was out, yours was turned down. Any words pop up before we move on?
Sacrifice and vision.
Yeah, I got nothing on. Is the wall to Philadelphia Alley that we just discussed. Everybody noticed the gate right in the middle of the wall back there. That gate was there in the event that there was a loser. It was a shortcut to get to the cemetery to my right. So,
oh my God.
The alley didn't go all the way through this way, so they would have to go all the way down to Queen Street and back down around with a dead body to be able to carry them to their cemetery. So, not everybody knows whether that gate is there, but I always find it super interesting, and I love to show it off. So, everybody have a seat. We're going to chill here for a few minutes. Oh, I thought you were like an extra bystander. Who's trying to join my group? I got my peeps. I'm good. So those of you with videos, you can stop your videos if you want to. Exactly what it is. So let's kind of move in a little bit this way towards up here, unless you're going to take pictures. How's that light doing at the top? Light still green at the very top? Yep. Awesome. Again, first night I don't know how long it's supposed to last. By the way, guys, that's how large a normal ghost tour is. Like, that is a typical size of what you'll get here in Charleston. So just so everybody knows, not that I have bragging rights on that, but I like keeping my group small and intimate, right? So, welcome to another parking lot. Yay! But we're going to be talking about that little tiny building over there. That's the powder magazine. I like to bring us back here to this corner because a lot of ghost tours like to cut through and kind of do their thing. We're going to investigate the whole space, including the front of the powder magazine and even the cameras. If you want to go back to the cemetery, see if you can get some footage. After I'm done giving you the history, you're free to do so. So this is our last stop, so let's make it a big whopper. Pirate lore, just so you know, is kind of hit or miss. I've read a ton. Sorry, Nicole, I'll get through this as quickly as I can. Evan, hold her up, buddy. Keep her going. Last stop. So, the powder magazine. Those are not crosses on that building, first and foremost. Those are earthquake bolts. in the event we have another earthquake with what we did in 1886 that we spoke of earlier, those earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. If you turn them, it's supposed to like straighten the building back up after any damage from an earthquake. Yeah, it's bullshit. It doesn't work. So it's a great idea, it just doesn't work. And the reason why I bring up these specific earthquake bolts is because you guys have been seeing them all over town and didn't realize what they were. They're in the shape of lion heads and pineapples and all kinds of fanciness because it's Charleston charm. These are the first set of earthquake bolts we put in because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina, finished in 1713. We are here because this building was built at the same time period that Anne Bonny came to Charlestown to start her pirate career. I'd like to give you a little bit more history on the building just because it's fascinating. We talked about the Charlestown walls earlier. There's a reason why I brought it up. Where that parking garage sits right now is where the wall stood. It went up past the powder magazine up Cumberland Street and started coming south behind me towards the battery, locking the powder magazine into the corners of the walls on purpose. If a pirate ship or Revolutionary warship tries to attack from 3 blocks away, those cannonballs, first off, may not make it, but if they do, the walls are 35 inches thick. It's going to have a hard time going through those walls. But we're going to pretend that it does and blows up the gunpowder inside. Underneath those red shingles is sand from the early 1700s that's designed to go up with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder in the event of an attack. It's another great idea, but that shit don't work either. Pardon the French. But the reason I bring this up is because this building has never been attacked, but we have had another powder magazine that was attacked. The sand went up and the building burned to the ground. So we know that that theory doesn't work, but the sand is still there because sand does not disintegrate. So, again, we're here because this place is familiar. It's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. That's the reason why we're here. You guys have gotten all kinds of lessons out of me tonight. So, during the middle of its construction, it took 10 years to build, by the way. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. That's when our story begins. So let's get into this. By the way, everything I'm about to tell you about Anne Bonny is based off of things that I found that were common among at least 2 or more references, just so you know, because pirate lore is very sketchy. 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far?
Whoa.
If I don't stop there, it gets very confusing. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How mad was she that she got to get in a boat and leave Ireland to come here? Just saying. So they land in Georgetown, which is just north of here, between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Hence why we're here. So, with that said, back home in Ireland, Anne was kind of a badass even from the start. They say she actually killed one of her servants when Anne was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So again, kind of a hardcore chick from the start. We're going to fast forward. The building was finished in 1713, and pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is about 16 or 17 years old at this time, and she falls in love pretty quickly. Guy number 1. Yes, I'm going to keep tally. James Bonny is guy number 1. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny. You can already seen that one coming, right? So when they get down there, James Bonny is not the swashbuckling rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy is a privateer, which means he is a spy for the British. He's a coward. This is not who she really wanted to marry. A few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number 2. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the same real person that they based the Captain Jack Sparrow character off of for your Pirates movies, just so you know. Calico Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on the crew. They're bad luck. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and hide your gender, then you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm good. Being a female in his quarters, let's all put 2 and 2 together, adults, she eventually becomes pregnant. But you can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. He drops her off in Cuba. We'll have the baby here, come back later, we'll figure it out. So she comes back, there's no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a girl. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This makes Jack pretty angry. While she was away giving birth to his first child, he captured another pirate crew. She's going to go flirting, because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship. This young lady's name is Mary Read. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, because we'll never know for sure, and the British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to take down 1 pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight, right? With their 1-bullet flintlocks, because that's the only thing that they know how to use. The cannons are out of reach for them, because they just don't know how to use them. They've never been on a pirate ship before. So, obviously they're going to get taken and arrested. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at her bow and her captain, Calico Jack, and she says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." Obviously, the word dog being very prominent here for spirit boxes. The judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. He wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly by themselves after he's done tried Calico Jack and the pirates that were too drunk to come up and fight. So the two ladies go in front. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates in his eyes. He's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they said, basically claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad bails her out, brings her back home. She remarries. Husband number 2, guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary Reed, because we'll never know for certain. Has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt ending as far as her death goes, because we don't know much about after her pirate career. As far as Mary Reed, she died a year later in 1721 from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination on that. I'm sure it was nasty. I left out 2 questions that I can actually, prove. Everything else is going to be fair games for you spirit box. I left out the names of Anne Bonny's parents on purpose. You can ask which their names are. That's the father and the mistress. You can also ask the name of Calico Jack's ship. I left that out purposely as well. Before we spread out and kind of go about working, I am going to tell you why I give you that heated warning at the very beginning. This is where things get interesting. Back in September, much cooler night than this. I bring my group back here just like this, same amount of people. Kid next to me goes white as a ghost. I have to pick him up by his armpit before he drops on the ground and hits his head. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side, and we get him over to that wall, which is where we're going to end, all of us, by the way. So we get him over to the wall, get him some water, he's feeling better, and then tell the story of what you guys now know. It's important to know that they have no idea what you guys know now. Before I spread everybody out, they pull me aside and say, "Nick, we got to tell you, we are 2 transgender males," meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary, on my tour. And it made complete sense as to why one of them passed out on a nice cool night before entering the space. I mean, it was almost instantaneous. Take that for what it's worth. These are the uncanny things that I cannot explain. But again, I will tell that story as many times as I have to come here because it makes sense. As psychics and mediums, like, they don't make it through this, guys, just so you know. If they don't tell me ahead of time, they're down at the Pink Dimension site and I'm called the paramedics. Like, it happens, I don't know, at least 10 times in the past 3 years that I've been doing this. So again, they always tell me as soon as they're passing out, "I forgot to tell you I'm a psychic, it's a little much." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. You should have warned me." But again, those of you with cameras, you can leave the lot. You'll exit over there and make a left and get some footage of the front lawn if you'd like. That includes pictures. So Evan, you're free to go up there too. Lasers, make sure they stay on the ground. If other tours are there, just kind of wait your turn. Kind of thing. You can also go across the street to get some footage of the cemetery. We're going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes here and allow the spirit boxes to actually come through and see what's going on. As far as EMF, this is not a space where we're going to get a ton of EMF. So Evan, if your thing goes off, I'm going to be super surprised. Keep in mind, the closer you get to those bushes over there, in the corners, there's electrical poles over there and parking meters on the other side of the bushes. Don't get excited if you get like a 2.5 to 3.5 over there. But again, EMF is not a great thing here, but the REM pod is. So turn up that antenna, Kristen. So definitely get that REM pod going and see what you got going there. Everybody else, let's get those spirit boxes cranked up. I'm going to go have a seat because you all know what the hell you're doing by now. Yeah, let's do this. Get those lasers going. Let's spread out. Nicole's got to move before she goes. It's actually a very difficult job to keep them steady.
That's what I mean.
So how are those lights looking at that light is catching? And other the ones that are down on it, that's not. Little purple circles everywhere.
How do you like that?
She's actually here.
Look at that. The white badass. I mean, when she killed the man, I mean, she liked men, she liked women. She didn't have any discrepancies besides.
What'd you get?
What?
You okay?
Yeah.
What'd you hear?
Jack. One of the names of it. Yeah.
Was that, he didn't tell us that name.
What?
He didn't tell us that name, did he? He did.
He was talking about, he was one of
Yeah.
husbands.
And you heard it?
It was the named after Jack Sparrow. Or Jack Sparrow was named after him.
That would have been a good clue at the front.
Reset.
This is actually there's.
Keep very still. Who's different? It was here. Make it do that again. Make the color blue.
Southern University.
Give it back to me.
Southern University.
Southern University.
You can go your own way.
Yeah, he needs a visit to a bar.
You need to give her an address. It's 79.
Just chew it around.
Yeah, different perspective.
Evan, take my photo. Take my photo.
Alright. Let's get everybody over.
Whenever I go in this random spot, there's like loud church music.
Really?
Loud. I also heard 1950. I told him. He said 1959 was that doctor's address, but he'd look into it.
The things that I'm excited about, that they're very vague, but there was a lot of little things. We did have a little blue motion come up on the REM pod, the motion sensor. We did have a little blip on Evan's device of about 5 milligauss, which is uncanny for this location. We normally don't get much of anything. The name Jack was heard. The name KRISTEN was heard. So obviously we have a KRISTEN among our group. Jack being relevant to Calico Jack. We also have the number 7. Depending on if I find more 7s tomorrow morning, when I'm going through your data, it's relevant in one of 3 ways, and that's why I usually wait to see what else is going to go along with it. First thing is that the doctor is born on July 7th, 7-7. So if it's relative to him, we'll have a clue to medicine of some sort, and 2 7s. As far as the other 7s, John Calhoun is buried right over there. He's your 7th vice president. So again, he served under Andrew Jackson. So sometimes it's a lot easier to find Andrew or Jackson, and instead of John or Calhoun. The other 7 is relative to the building behind me. It served in 7 different wars, and we did get the word Indian show up on the word list. And I do want to say it served the French and Indian War. So I'll have to look at that to be more specific. But again, 7 showing up one time, I need to know what else it's relative to. So those are the things that I'm excited about. We also heard that the year of 1958, I was like, damn, so close, because 59 Church Street is where the doctor lived. So kind of keep that in mind. So that's why I'm wrapping this one up pretty quickly, because I'm not seeing anything like, oh my god, we have Calico and Jack and name of his ship and all of those other things. So let's get into the answers for this location, and we'll wrap this party up, and you guys can ask me a million questions, because I know you guys have all been very attentive, except for Nicole, who's been nodding off. I'm not kidding, I'm teasing you. So, it's only because he told me you were going to fall asleep. Let's see, Anne. I always like to show you mugshots, right? So this is one of the few pictures I can find of Anne Bonny where she actually had a shirt on. The reason for that is because she used to bare her breast to show the men she killed that they were just killed by a woman. Told you, she's pretty badass. So there's a lot that goes into Anne Bonny's story, because everybody tells her tale a little bit differently. The name of her parents, William Cormac, Mary Brennan. None of you were expecting a secondary Mary. So again, that's why I left that question out there for the open, and that was the mistress. Let's see. Calico Jack, I always like to show you what he looked like too, because it makes sense as to why he's called Calico Jack. He was named Calico Jack based on the jackets that he wore. He stole them from the men he killed, British captains. So sorry, UK Brian. But that's why he was called Calico Jack. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. I don't expect Kingston to come up unless it would have been Nicole's device, which could capture disembodied voices a lot more clearly than the S boxes, the red spirit boxes we were using. The word king would actually suffice here, just so you guys know. If I see Jack and then king, I'm good with that. Jack ran the Kingston. So you guys can kind of see where the relativity is there. But again, overall, nice job, everybody. Everybody was pretty much in tune. Everybody was watching the devices pretty closely. I can't wait to see what's going to come up on our new camera with the new lighting on it, because we did see some anomalies come up in the Lodge Alley area, you guys said. So possibly 2 little flickers of light showed up in there, so I'll see what they are and see if I can get to freeze frame on those. So that would be really rad to be able to capture that with that new method of trying to start. As I collect devices, again, you guys can ask me a million questions. This was about an average of what I normally see. So Pinky Mansion, they were starting to give me some things, but it gave me a lot of first ending clues. And the same thing over here with the Jack, the KRISTEN, those kind of things. So again, you guys are giving, it's about an average. So 40% of evidence is caught in the field. The other 60% is caught with the media review, which is why I give it all back to you. At the top of your data page tomorrow, I just wrote a field guide to actually help you with each piece of media that you're about to get. A lot of people, I noticed, the traffic was slowing down because there's so much data there, and how do I sift through this? The field guide will be a link at the very top of your set, just so you know. It'll say, hey, we wrote this field guide to help you along, so that way you can see how we look at each piece. And it's like a 10-minute read, so that should help you along for sure. Again, a lot of fun with you guys. So very quiet at certain areas. It was super surprised. Right now, either I wore you guys all out, which is funny because we only went half a mile. Does it feel like we were together for 2 hours, by the way?
No.
No.
It's a great tour. Good job.
30 minutes at the beginning of getting you guys used to your device.